Journal entry, Juan's musings. Building from crumbs, one step at a time. What you are about to read is my typical journal account. I have many of these, and if you are here, please take a seat and let me know what you think about my experience. Hi, my name is Juan. I'm 15 years old and in high school. But that's not all about me. My family migrated to the US when I was 5, and we have been here since. When I say family, I mean my dad, because he's the only one I've grown to know, and he's the only one who cared for me. Other people have moms and understand them, but for some reason mine hasn't surfaced all my life, and my dad wouldn't have a conversation about it. When I asked, he'd say, "Remember, do not focus on the love you seem to be missing. I am always here." Sometime in the future, I hope to get to the root of the family tree and learn about my mom. But that's not what this story is about. Today, I'll write down my account and one incident that taught me that it is wrong to be judgmental. My father didn't get a formal education, so getting a job was difficult. But we always managed ourselves. Sometimes he works part-time jobs, and other times he takes lawn mowing gigs. And he always has something to eat, no matter what. This is what encouraged me to aim for a higher education. My father didn't go to the university or get a certification that could help our family, but I will work hard to take care of him when he is old. To save for my university and help with some bills, I work construction, help my father whenever he has multiple gigs, and maintain a reading timetable of about 6 hours of studying every day. Many people call me a good boy and say my father is lucky to have me, but I don't think so. We are fortunate to have each other, and if studying hard and helping my father is what I have to do to get a decent life, why not? My grandma always says that when life hands you a crumb, pile it up and build a fortress with it. I am making a fortress, one piece at a time, with the crumbs I've been handed. The PS Store. "Dad, I want a PS5. "What did you say?" Dad said. Living my life the way I mentioned above made it very awkward to tell my dad I wanted a PS5. First, we couldn't afford it. I would have to use up months of savings to get it. And we didn't even have a TV. My dad looked at me perplexed, having many questions in his mind and wondering if I started getting high. "Juan, what do you want a PS5 for?" He didn't add, but I could see in his eyes that we couldn't afford it. He was right, we couldn't, but I had to try and was a few dollars short. So not only were we going to the PS5 store, but I also needed to give him some money. When I insisted, he was even more worried. I gave him my money and begged him to do me the honors. After minutes of pleading, he agreed, especially after I told him why I needed the PS5. I could see a flicker of pride and joy in his eyes. The questions ceased, and we left for the store together. Purchase botched. We were fortunate because we got the last PS5 in the store. Someone might have gotten it before us if we had come later. I was thrilled. My dad bought and paid for the PS5, but wrote the receipt in my name. It made me even happier. As we were about to leave the store, a white lady came in. Shortly after, she came charging at us at the door. "Hey, I was told the last PS5 was sold to Mexicans. Are you the one?" I innocently answered yes. Then she blocked my dad's truck and said she couldn't let us go. My dad is very quiet, but his English is wrong, and people often misunderstand him. He tried to ask her to leave his way, but one thing led to another, and before I knew it, they were arguing. As they exchanged words, I noticed that she wanted my PS5 and offered some money, but I needed it, and taking her money would mean trying out of town to get another, or returning weeks later. So my dad refused her money and asked her to go. Thinking and writing about it now, I remember how hurtful it was when I heard her say, "Oh, you will give it to me. I am white, and I have the privilege. You don't belong here. You can go back to Mexico for all I care." At that point, I knew there was no going back. She approached me, landed a slap on my cheek, and started pulling the PS5 from the back seat. I grabbed it. Then she let loose and fell down on her back. In the jail. The next thing I know, we are in the police station. A thing or two were said, but mainly containing words like assault, stealing, Mexicans. We have had many experiences like this before, but how, they alleged stealing, And why? We bought the PS5 ourselves, so how is that stealing? The police officers wouldn't listen to us, though. I learned the white woman's name was Karen. She wanted the PS5 for her grandson, who was celebrating his birthday, and it meant a lot to her because he wanted a PS5, and his parents weren't there for him. Her grandson's name was James. My best friend's name was James too, and he also had a birthday that same day. So I felt pain and decided to let her have it. I had bought the PS5 for my best friend James, the noble cause that had made my dad proud of me. But if I lose it now, I could apologize and make it up to him later. My dad started speaking and trying to explain to me that I'm a good boy, and I always helped him work in construction and save up money for the university. He went on and on about how I want the PS5 for my friend and why he supported me. His English was poor, but I don't think it mattered. The police went on and on about how they could not allow us to go with the PS5 because they weren't sure it was ours, and worst of all, they decided they must detain us until they found out if we stole it or not. This is the craziest part. They allowed Karen to go with the PS5 and left us in the detention center overnight. The police officer acted that way because he knew Karen and her son. I didn't allow her to pay me anything for the PS5, and since I had already paid for it, she left. So while Karen was allowed to go with the PS5, she didn't pay because she is white. My dad and I were made to stay in detention because they couldn't ascertain whether or not we stole the PS5, which Karen just left with. Worse, it appeared as if we would spend the night there. I was disappointed and sad that I couldn't give James the PS5 he had so much wanted and that we had to sleep in detention. But I was Mexican. Things like this happened, no consequences. The police officer also went home to spend the night with his family. James's birthday. Karen returned and presented the PS5 birthday present she had obtained for him. James was pleased to have the gift, but he was also sad that all his friends were around except his best friend, who was not answering his phone. Karen asked him not to worry. Karen's James had a lovely party, danced and had fun. So later, at around 11 a.m., the boys decided to play some games, and James decided to open his PS5 present. To his shock, my name was on the receipt. Couldn't comprehend what was happening, so he called his grandma and said, "This is my best friend's name. Why is the receipt for my gift in his name? Did he give it to you?" So it turns out Karen's James is also my James. As crazy as it sounds, we were both fighting to keep the PS5 for the same person. However, my dad and I were in detention for that. James was furious and threatened to involve his dad, a high-ranking police officer, if we weren't released. I'm sorry and thank you. They called the police officer who detained us, and he insisted that we had to stay there till morning. He was at home with his family and no one could tell him to leave. Of course, no one could except James's dad intervened. James could not bear the thought what they had done to us, so he called his dad. We were released from the detention center at around 1 a.m. My back ached and my dad was sad. It was at that point we started receiving the sorry and thank you. Karen was deeply sorry and ashamed about how she treated us. She knelt down to apologize and told us she allowed racism to cloud her judgment and acted like a horrible person. The police officer also apologized. He even said when he got home and his wife asked how his day went, he had referred to us as some Mexicans doing shit. He always believed that he wasn't racial, but he allowed his trust in Karen to blind him from doing what was right. James hugged me and apologized. My dad and I were sad and highly stressed, but we forgave them. We had many experiences like this before, and we only hope people will do better and treat others properly, regardless of their skin color, age, or origin. Karen's grandma invited us to the house to have dinner and get to know each other better. Okay, that was one hell of a story, and I finished writing 3 journal pages. But some stories must be told, no matter how long or how sad they make us feel. I wanted to document this so I will never forget that life is made of circles. In an extensive process, tables could turn quickly, and lives could easily be affected. Reflecting on this now, I can see that it is wrong to judge a person before getting to know them, or take sides without truly hearing both sides of a story. If I could do anything differently, I would stop myself from getting sad. That's all. But if Karen and the police officer could act differently, I bet they would do a lot. Nugget for the day. Race is just a social construct. It doesn't matter where we are from or how we got here. A reasonable person is good regardless of origin. An evil person will be wrong, whether white, black, Asian, or Mexican. It doesn't matter. It is indeed possible for some Mexicans to have stolen or hurt others. But that is their personality. It has nothing to do with race. Because there are many Mexicans like my dad who are living decent lives and me. Anyway, enough story for the day. Did you enjoy it? I hope my next journal entry will be full of fun and joy.